How were these attacks successful, and how were high-level figures killed in pinpoint strikes? This is a question that will be extremely difficult for Iran. In fact, we asked this question last year. Let us remember. Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas, was martyred in an attack in the Iranian capital Tehran. At that time, it was asked how such a high-level figure, a figure who needed to be protected and who was a guest in Tehran, the capital of Iran, could be attacked. Now, it is important to emphasize that Israel did not only attack nuclear facilities, it also attacked the most senior figures, and it attacked many different points of ammunition and so on. And this is what the Prime Minister Netanyahu says. The highest ranking figure says that the attacks, in his own words, are Netanyahu's. It is said that it will continue no matter how many days it takes until the threat against us is eliminated. And these are the times that the Israeli UVA will last for at least 2 weeks. And as you rightly said, 2 of Iran's top military figures have now been killed. Iran has confirmed this. The Chief of General Staff, this is the commander of the Revolutionary Guards. Of course. Is this an intelligence? It is. But for the moment beyond that, the 3 burning questions before us are: how long will Israel continue? Where will it continue to strike? How will Iran respond to this? And will it be only against Israel? Will it be directed against America? Will it be a more calculated response that will not turn into an all-out war like last February? Or is it going to respond in a much more serious way this time and go into an all-out war with Israel and even a war with the US presidents? It is an extremely difficult dilemma for Iran. Let's go back a little bit further and remind the audience. Israel started to hit the Hezbollah movement in Lebanon, which is an ally of Iran, and it kept raising the bar. It killed almost the entire command structure, and finally the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. It martyred the leader of Hamas in the Iranian capital Tehran, and so on. Even if Iran responded in a calculated way, even if it responded in a limited way, Israel constantly pushed Iran. Now, if Iran still responds in a limited way, then Israel's weight in the region, its seriousness, and even its own allies, its image, whose weight and seriousness in the eyes of the world is already in question, has been completely damaged. And it will now put Iran in a position where Israel can launch attacks at will, and Iran cannot respond very seriously. But if Iran responds very seriously, it will probably have to risk a major war with the US and Israel. We can say that extremely difficult days await us for Iran. Now, the first reactions are, of course, very harsh. The attacks are still continuing. We don't know how long it will continue. I am sure that after getting over this first shock and making the first statements, Iranian officials will think about the questions I have just asked. We are witnessing the same tactics used by Israel in Lebanon against Hezbollah. There are images that our friends passed by that you projected on the screens. For example, in Tehran, we saw an apartment in a multi-story building was Nimhed or something like that. We had seen this in Lebanon for months. It is described as intelligence-based pinpoint assassinations. In English literature, it is called targeted killing. This shows us that intelligence-based attacks are very intense in Iran. In other words, they know the location, they know where it is, and they attack it with a guided missile or whatever.